New Taylor Swift doc revisits the moment her career nearly ended. A new Taylor Swift documentary revisits the backlash and public fallout tied to her Kanye West feud, revealing how the crisis nearly derailed her career. The new Taylor documentary revisits Taylor Swift's public backlash after Kanye West's 2009 MTV interruption. Online attacks intensified after Kanye's famous song and Kim Kardashian's edited phone call surfaced. Swift eventually reclaimed her image, transforming attacks into empowerment and creative reinvention. The new CW documentary Taylor revisits one of the most turbulent chapters of Taylor Swift's early career, a moment that, for a time, threatened to derail everything she had built. The film takes viewers back to the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards, when Kanye West jumped up on stage in the audience and interrupted Swift as she accepted the award for Best Female Video. The incident quickly became one of the most replayed moments in pop culture history, but the documentary focuses less on the spectacle than on the aftermath, and how deeply it shook a young artist still finding her footing. Journalist Zing explains how quickly the narrative around Swift shifted. She recalls that Swift was suddenly framed as this liar who's deceitful and trying to manipulate people, despite having no control over the interruption itself. Fan Holly Armstrong describes how unforgiving the backlash became. She could have saved 1 million babies and solved world hunger, and nobody would have cared. Armstrong says, "It wouldn't have mattered." She adds that the scale of the reaction felt unprecedented. We hadn't really seen anybody come back from that. The documentary shows how the controversy metastasized online. Hashtags like #TaylorSwiftIsOverParty gained traction, and snake emojis flooded Swift's social media. Nina Haynes recalls how quickly Swift became a target. She was being called a snake. Haynes says, "It was part of hashtags, the hashtag #TaylorSwiftIsOverParty." But the film makes clear that the backlash didn't fade with time. It intensified years later in a way Swift couldn't have anticipated. The documentary revisits the fallout surrounding West's song Famous and the release of an edited phone call shared by his then-wife, Kim Kardashian. Stang explains why the lyric itself became a flashpoint. He basically raps, "I made that bitch famous," she says. When the edited clip circulated online in 2016, public opinion shifted sharply. Swift was accused of lying about the call, and the renewed backlash eclipsed even the original 2009 incident. Faced with a compounded scrutiny, Swift disappeared from public view entirely. Haynes notes that Swift goes absolutely radio silent. No one hears from her. No one sees her out in public, which is the antithesis of the Taylor that we had come to know. Music journalist Annie Zaleski explains why the situation felt unwinnable. When there's this false narrative that everyone believes, how do you respond to that? She asks. The documentary frames this period as a psychological breaking point, not just a public controversy, but a crisis of identity and confidence. Rather than responding immediately, Swift chose silence. The film suggests that absence was a retreat so much as recalibration. When Swift eventually returned, she did so on her own terms. Armstrong describes the shift clearly. "I absolutely love the force with which Taylor came back," she says. She points to Swift's decision to reclaim the imagery that had been used against her. She took that motif of a snake that was used so violently against her and made it into an entire era. Zaleski frames that moment as a reclamation. She is reclaiming her narrative. She's reclaiming her reputation, she says, referencing Swift's pointed declaration. "I would very much like to be excluded from this narrative." The documentary makes clear that what began with an interruption by West and later escalated through Kardashian's involvement ultimately became something far larger. What once threatened to end Swift's career instead reshaped it, laying the groundwork for the artist she would become.